Hey, Chris.
Good morning.
Welcome to the impromptu Podmatic podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, it's all almost finishing. I was just like, let me try and see if I can quickly grab some content before I head off for my school run. So I noticed you guys had your own podcast set up as well.
Not as professional as this one.
Really?
Already the equipment puts us to shame.
Oh, come on,
I mean,
man.
I've turned up with some microphones I found in
Yeah.
my bedroom from 5 years ago that have never been out of the box because I did want to start a podcast
Yeah.
a long time ago, and they've never been opened. So this is the first time they've been used in 5 years.
Really?
But even the equipment that we have within our office, we started a podcast called a Yorkshire Office.
Okay.
Small plug there.
There you go.
Yeah, but the microphones, I think we bought the wrong microphone, so you hear a lot of echoing. You can hear the pigeons outside when they're on the roof.
Oh, mate, that's not good.
No, so already this setup's making me very jealous.
Listen, come see me. I'll see what I can do. I'm always happy to give you some advice to recommend. I was saying, I looked at your setup. It looked pretty decent, to be honest with you. It looks simple.
Yeah, that's all Sam's equipment at home.
Is it?
Yeah, he just records his own voice. And
there you go. What helps me, as you said, is the mixer and it's the mics. So they do a great job at containing some of the sound. As you can tell, there's quite a bit of sound around here, but just because of the equipment, it kind of helps.
Massively.
To counter that. What made you guys start a podcast?
RMD.
Okay.
It was not our idea.
Yeah.
No, we've at ACS we've always tried to do a little. I'd say things differently, but I mean I know there are a lot of businesses out there who are using sort of the digital technology and outreaches for doing things like this. So a podcast, social media. He pulled myself and Sam, who's wandering about somewhere with his little backpack on.
Yeah.
We've got these little ACS. Yorkshire Office flags.
There you go.
Absolutely. Trying to get a little bit of attention.
Waving the flag.
Wave it around. Come talk to us.
Absolutely.
But yeah, he pulled us into his office and said, look, I want to do a podcast. I want to sort of get what we do out there, but sort of instead of just constantly doing LinkedIn posts, which I imagine a lot of people breeze past.
Yeah.
It was kind of it's an organic podcast. We talk. I pull up random stories that I've seen on the internet.
Okay.
We just talk generally what most people would talk about in an office, just general conversation, but we sort of bring it onto a podcast. We do talk about, we interview a few of the people who work within our business because we have several divisions. So we try and get people on there to sort of describe their daily life in the office, what they do, in amongst just talking rubbish, really.
Yeah.
But again, it's just the conversations people have in offices, we just record it.
Podcast.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good idea because I was saying like dialogue is really blowing up as content.
Yeah.
And for myself, obviously being a podcast producer, one-stop shop, I always advocate for it because there's no better way to get the best of yourself than just talking.
Absolutely,
when you try and be mechanical and planned, it does not come out the way you think. And people are not idiots. They can pick up on it. Do you get what I mean? So if you're just having a conversation, it's casual, even if it's like flawed and imperfect, I tend to connect better with those conversations.
Yeah, I found, especially on sort of my own personal social media channels, but also my LinkedIn one when I'm trying to promote what I do and what ACS does, they don't sort of pull you back and say, no, you need to be professional. I'm probably one of the most unprofessional people in our company.
You don't look
I
like
just
mate.
talk absolute rubbish. I try to be funny. Sometimes it pulls off.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't. But I think that whole natural, this is who I am, this is who you're going to be talking to if you haven't spoken to me yet.
It's personal.
And I like to, and so when you pull it onto the podcast, we try and get our customers to listen to it. We try and get the staff to push it out to the customers. Just to sort of listen what we're all about, because I mean you can talk for days to your customer on the phone, but it's almost of what you do but not what we do, because we offer so much. And I think a podcast is one of the best ways to do that.
Absolutely. I was going to say because I'll be letting you go soon. Messaging, it is perfect because what it allows you to do, I think you articulated that perfectly. It allows you to say excuse me. It allows you to say a lot more in a podcast that you wouldn't ordinarily say, because usually I suspect if you're speaking to customers or clients, it'll be about specific things. You're not going to go off on a tangent.
The conversation's almost going one way, but this time you can branch off.
Right, and they've got things to do and other things, whereas if you put it out in a podcast, especially if the quality is good, I'm big on quality, they can listen to it in their own time.
Yes.
So they might be in the middle of other tasks and they just put it. I use podcasts a lot as background noise. even if I'm really busy into something else, if you're chatting and I hear banter and it's a really good engaging conversation, I'm kind of like a fly on the wall. I want to listen in to whatever you're speaking about.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, as a good example of that, I did. I do quite a lot of charity challenges every year.
Okay.
Try and push myself out of my comfort zone. I did. I ran the Yorkshire Three Peaks. No practice. I just got in my car, drove to them, and ran them. But I did it on my. I did it on my own. It was. I think it was the end of February. About 5 years ago.
Okay.
And to get me around, I put podcasts on. I put one of my favourite podcasts on.
Did
so
you?
I just had it in my headphones.
Yeah.
I probably wasn't listening too much, but because it was in my ears, I felt like I was running with people.
Yes.
So when you say
That's
background
what I'm
noise,
saying, yeah.
I might pick up, listen there, but
I'm not really listening to what's being said, but it
No.
just gives you that level of comfort. I do that a lot, and now I find it more useful for me, especially when I'm working, than music.
Yes.
I'd rather be listening to people speaking, engaging, like bantering and that kind of thing. And there's so many podcasts like that where it's just, as you said, office banter.
Yes.
You're just chatting. You're not really trying to sound professional. You're not trying to make it up, because that just ends up being cringy.
Yeah.
But if you're just having a chat and things like that, what then that does is you'll find that will connect with people more than if you're trying to sort of put it on and, script it and that kind of thing. I don't think that works.
Yeah, again, it goes back to the old saying, people buy from people. And
Yes.
the whole point of us putting the podcast out was to say, we are people here. We're not a call
Yes.
centre. We're not just ringing up customers trying to sell them something. We are people, and this is how we act in the office. We're just,
Yeah.
we are you, but
Yeah.
with a different business. So, yeah.
I was going to say, it's a really powerful way to connect with people. It's a really powerful way to send messages. And it's also a really powerful way to build your village. Especially, I'll give you some tips. Consistency, quality of audio. Those are the two tips I'll give you. There's probably more. If your quality of audio is great, it means I can listen to it for ages in my headphones, right? So whether I'm driving or I'm just having my headphones in. Also consistency, what that means is people start to come to it religiously. The same way
Yeah.
people go to church. If they know that you post your podcast at a certain time every week, even if you're only doing it once a month, they'll keep coming to it, and before you know it, you've now got a little village. Before you know it, you can even be offering them merch. You can be offering them different things. It actually creates other avenues of potential revenue that
Yeah.
you might not think about, and it's organic because they won't feel like you're trying to sell them something. They'll feel that they're buying from you to support you.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. So,
Yeah, we post ours. It's every 2 weeks.
Brilliant.
It comes out Monday. We've had to change it. We did put it out at 9 o'clock every Monday, but I sort of said we need people to listen to it on the way to work, so it comes out midnight. We're constantly changing. The consistency's there because we sort of go in with an idea of what we wanted to talk about. We have a pack sheet. The last episode we did, 2 of our guests decided their job was more important instead of our podcast, which I'm still fuming about. So we ended up having to pull someone out of the office saying, will you please quickly come and do our podcast? And it ended up being just the most random thing.
Yeah.
But people enjoyed it, and I think because of that organic nature and there was no planning behind it, I think a lot of people enjoy it. So when you kind of go off script, but
don't have to worry about too much about research, and you're just taking it as you go, and it's whatever comes is what you put out. I think that's perfect, mate. And to be honest with you, as a company, that's what I try and do. Not what I try and do, that's what I do with people. But with us, there is a lot more meticulousness and planning. But the whole goal of what my company does is to make sure that you get it right, basically, whether it's from a consultational aspect, some of the things that people don't think about when it comes to podcast is what I do. So excuse me once more. It was great seeing you guys with the setup and everything that you were doing.
Thank you.
I appreciate you indulging me today.
No, pleasure to be here.
Cheers. Pleasure.
Thank you.